young and ambitious man had been tirelessly searching for a job to make ends meet. After weeks of disappointment and countless applications, he received an unexpected call from an obscure office, and he got a good job. John's heart raced as he entered the dimly lit office building for his first day on the job. The air was heavy, with an unsettling stillness, and the flickering fluorescent lights cast eerie shadows on the cold, sterile walls. He couldn't shake the feeling that something was off, but he brushed it aside, attributing it to first day. The receptionist greeted him with a forced smile and directed him to his new office on the 10th floor. As he stepped into the outdated elevator, he noticed a strange emblem engraved on the control panel, a cryptic symbol that seemed to pulse with a malevolent energy, sending shivers down his spine. Upon reaching the 10th floor, John hesitated before entering his office. The wooden door creaked open, revealing a room frozen in time. Dust-covered furniture, ancient computer monitors, and yellowing paperwork painted a picture of neglect. The air in the room felt thick with the weight of unseen eyes watching his every move. As he settled into his desk, John heard hushed whispers echoing through the hallway. The voices seemed to come from nowhere, and whenever he tried to trace their source, they would abruptly cease. A chill crawled up his spine. As the day progressed, John couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. He caught glimpses of shadowy figures in the periphery of his vision, but could never catch them in the act. At lunchtime, he decided to explore the office to clear his head. Wandering through the labyrinthine hallways, John stumbled upon a forgotten room tucked away in a corner. The door creaked open with resistance, revealing a room filled with old photographs and dusty archives. One particular picture caught his eye, an eerie group photo featuring people in outdated clothing, their faces frozen in unnatural expressions. Suddenly, the whispers intensified, now forming discernible words. The voices spoke of a dark secret, a malevolent force that haunted the office for decades. The unsettling truth unfolded as he read through the archives. A series of mysterious disappearances, unexplained deaths, and a pervasive sense of dread that lingered within those walls. Determined to unravel the mystery, John delved deeper into the office's history. He discovered that the building was constructed atop an old cemetery, and rumors of a cursed artifact hidden within its walls circulated among the few remaining employees. The emblem he had seen in the elevator was a symbol of a malevolent entity said to feed on the fear of the living. As night fell, the office transformed into a realm of nightmares. Strange sounds echoed through the hallways, and the temperature plummeted. John felt an otherworldly presence closing in on him. Shadows twisted and contorted, taking on sinister forms that danced at the edge of his vision. In a final desperate attempt to escape the encroaching darkness, John gathered his belongings and fled the office. As he stumbled into the empty streets, he glanced back at the building, only to see the faint glow of malevolent eyes peering out from the window. The horror that unfolded on his first day at the job would forever haunt John's nightmares. The malevolent force within the office had claimed yet another victim, leaving behind a legacy of fear that lingered in the empty halls. As Jenna cautiously entered the Hollowvale office building on her first day, greeted by a foreboding silence, dust-covered desks and vacant portraits hinted at a forgotten past. The air hung heavy with an eerie stillness as Jenna navigated the dimly lit corridors where flickering lights cast unsettling shadows. Her desk, tucked away in a desolate corner, seemed frozen in time. As Jenna delved into her tasks, whispers danced through the air, and the spectral atmosphere hinted at a malevolent history concealed within the mundane. Unbeknownst to Jenna, her initiation into the office marked the beginning of a chilling journey, where the line between reality and the supernatural blurred with each passing moment. The office was silent, save for the rhythmic ticking of the clock on the wall. Jenna sat alone at her desk, surrounded by a sea of darkness that seemed to swallow everything in its path. It was past midnight, and she was the only one left in the building. As a diligent employee, Jenna often stayed late to finish her work. But tonight, an eerie feeling crept over her, making her skin prickle with unease. She glanced around the dimly lit office, feeling as though unseen eyes were watching her every move. Her computer screen cast an eerie glow across the room, illuminating the rows of empty desks and filing cabinets. Jenna shook her head, trying to dispel the feeling of dread that lingered in the air. As she returned her attention to her work, Jenna couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. It was as if the shadows themselves were alive, whispering secrets that sent shivers down her spine. She tried to focus on the task at hand, typing away at her keyboard with trembling fingers. Suddenly, a soft thud echoed through the office, causing Jenna to jump in her seat. She glanced around, her heart pounding in her chest. "Is anyone there?" She called out, her voice barely above a whisper. There was no response, only the sound of her own rapid breathing filling the air. Jenna stood up slowly, her eyes scanning the darkness for any sign of movement. The office seemed to stretch on forever, the shadows dancing along the walls like sinister spectres. With trembling hands, Jenna reached for her phone, her fingers fumbling as she dialed security. But as the line rang, a cold gust of wind swept through the office, extinguishing the lights in an instant. Jenna gasped in shock, her heart racing as darkness enveloped her. Panic surged through her veins as she groped blindly for her phone, her fingers scraping against the smooth surface of her desk. She could hear the pounding of her heart in her ears as she struggled to remain calm. "This can't be happening," she muttered to herself, her voice trembling with fear. In the pitch-black darkness, Jenna's mind began to play tricks on her. Shadows seemed to twist and contort into grotesque shapes, whispering sinister secrets that sent chills down her spine. She felt as though she was being watched, a pair of unseen eyes boring into her soul. Desperate to escape the suffocating darkness, Jenna groped her way towards the door, her heart pounding in her chest. But as her hand closed around the cold metal handle, she froze in terror. A voice echoed through the darkness, a chilling whisper that sent shivers down her spine. "Leave now while you still can," the voice hissed, its tone dripping with malice. Jenna's blood ran cold as she recoiled in horror. Who or what was speaking to her? She wanted to run, to flee from this nightmare, but fear rooted her to the spot. The voice spoke again, closer this time, its words sending a jolt of terror through her. "You cannot escape. We are everywhere." Trembling, Jenna tore the door open and stumbled into the hallway, the darkness seeming to swallow her whole. She raced towards the stairwell, her heart pounding in her chest as she fled from whatever lurked in the shadows. But with each step she took, the darkness seemed to close in around her, as if the very walls of the building were alive and closing in. Her heart pounding in her chest as she raced towards the ground floor. She could hear the sound of her own ragged breathing echoing through the stairwell, mingling with the sinister whispers that seemed to follow her every move. With a cry of despair, Jenna turned and fled into the night, her heart pounding in her chest as she raced through the empty streets. She could feel the eyes of the shadows boring into her back, their whispers echoing in her ears as she ran for her life. But no matter how fast she ran, she could not escape the darkness that pursued her. It followed her like a relentless predator, a malevolent force that sought to consume her soul. And as Jenna disappeared into the night, the shadows closed in around her, swallowing her whole and dragging her into the depths of darkness from which there was no escape. The office building stood silent and empty, a monument to the horrors that lurked within its walls. And as the first light of dawn broke over the horizon, it cast long, twisted shadows that seemed to dance with sinister glee, a silent reminder of the darkness that lurked just beneath the surface of the world. Emily's first day at the prestigious law firm took an unexpected turn as she ventured deeper into the labyrinthine corridors of the imposing office building. The once grand structure, adorned with Gothic architecture, cast long shadows that seemed to reach out with an unsettling presence. Emily, armed with excitement and determination, was unaware of the dark secrets that awaited her. The lobby, usually abuzz with the hum of professional activity, felt unusually hushed. Employees exchanged furtive glances as Emily made her way to the elevator, the air thick with an unspoken tension. As the elevator ascended to the firm's floor, a chill ran down her spine. The creaking and groaning of the outdated machinery seemed to echo the foreboding atmosphere. The elevator doors opened to a dimly lit corridor lined with oak-paneled doors. The oppressive air clung to her as she walked, and the whispers of the building's past echoed through the empty halls. The receptionist's forced smile did little to alleviate the growing sense of unease, and still, Emily pressed on, determined to make a positive impression on her first day. Her new office, nestled at the end of the corridor, revealed neglect that seemed frozen in time. Dust-covered furniture, faded wallpaper, and an overall sense of abandonment greeted her. Dismissing it as the result of budget constraints or oversight, Emily unpacked her belongings, eager to focus on the promising career ahead. As the days unfolded, strange occurrences began to unravel. Emily, engrossed in her work, heard indistinct whispers that seemed to emanate from the very walls. The flickering lights overhead cast unsettling shadows, and an overwhelming feeling of being watched plagued her. At first, she attributed it to the stresses of a new job, but the persistence of these eerie events wore down her resolve. Late one evening, as Emily worked diligently to catch up on her mounting workload, a mournful wail echoed from the abandoned office next door. Trembling, she investigated, only to find the room empty and devoid of any logical explanation. Sleep-deprived and on edge, Emily's once vibrant enthusiasm for her job waned as the paranormal activities intensified. Phantom footsteps echoed in the empty corridor, and shadows seemed to move with a life of their own. Emily, now questioning her own sanity, confided in her more tenured colleagues about the strange happening. Their faces paled, and a nervous silence settled over the room. It was then that a senior employee reluctantly revealed the haunting history of the office building. Decades ago, a notorious lawyer, rumored to have dabbled in the occult, had committed unspeakable acts within those very walls. His malevolent presence was said to linger, haunting the office and driving employees to the brink of madness. The firm, in an effort to maintain professionalism and conceal the sinister truth, had kept the dark history under wraps. Emily's blood ran cold as she realized the truth behind the paranormal activities. Desperation set in as she grappled with the decision to confront the malevolent force or abandon her promising career. The once grand office building, with its ominous whispers and chilling apparitions, became a battleground between the living and the lingering darkness of a tormented past. Determined to unravel the mystery and reclaim her sanity, Emily immersed herself in research about the occult and paranormal phenomena. Armed with a newfound understanding, she embarked on a journey to confront the supernatural forces that gripped the office building in a vice-like hold. Her nights turned into harrowing experiences as Emily conducted cleansing rituals and protective spells. The office, once a hotbed of spectral activity, became a battlefield between the corporeal and the ethereal. Objects moved on their own, and chilling whispers turned into anguished cries, signaling the resistance of the malevolent force within. As Emily's efforts intensified, so did the supernatural retaliation. The temperature in her office plummeted to bone-chilling levels, and the shadows coalesced into a ghastly figure. One fateful night, the vengeful spirit of the long-deceased lawyer materialized before her, eyes burning with an otherworldly rage. Frozen in terror, Emily summoned the strength to recite a powerful cleansing incantation. A blinding light enveloped the room, banishing the darkness and dispelling the malevolent force. The building, once weighed down by a suffocating history, seemed to breathe a sigh of relief. The whispers faded and the oppressive atmosphere lifted, leaving Emily in a state of exhaustion and triumph.